In the last section, we opened up our code editor inside the Plinko directory, and we started working on our score.js file. Again, our goal right now is to write a little bit of code inside of onScoreUpdate. We're going to make sure that every single time this function gets called, we store some information about the ball that was dropped and the bucket that it eventually fell into. So let's write a little bit of code to do exactly that. One quick thing I want to remind you about, in order to store all of our data for this application, we're going to make an array, and inside of it are going to be a bunch of other arrays. Each of the inner arrays is going to store information about one single ball drop. So to get started, inside my code editor, I'm going to declare a new data structure outside of that function. At the very top of the file, I'm going to make a function called outputs, like so. See, I said function, I meant to say an array. So I've now got an array called outputs. This array is where we're going to store each of the different observations that we make inside of our application. I'll then delete the comment right here, and then we're going to use a JavaScript built-in function to push in a new array to this outputs array, and inside this second array, we're going to store the drop position, bounciness, size, and bucket label. So I'm going to write out outputs.push. I'm going to stick a new array in there. So this is going to be the array that's going to reflect data about a single drop attempt. And I'll put in drop position as the first index, then the ball's bounciness, then its size, and then its bucket label, like so. Okay, so that's it. That's all we have to do to record in some information about every ball that gets dropped. Now to test this out, I'm going to also add in a little console log underneath that. And I'm going to console log outputs, like so. So now every time that we see a ball touch a bucket, we should see this console log statement, and it should be console logging whatever's inside of the outputs array. Now I'm going to save this file, and then I'll test it by going back over to my browser. I'm going to open up my Chrome Developers Console, like so. You'll notice that I'm on the console tab over here. I'm going to make sure that I refresh this page because we just made a change to its related JavaScript file, and there's no live reload or anything like that set up for this project. And then I'm going to go ahead and just click anywhere on here and let a ball drop. And then when it goes down into a bucket, you'll see that I get this console log over here. So if I expand this, I'll see that I have an array with an array that has 4 entries inside of it. So I can expand that smaller one. And remember the order in which we reflected all of our data here. The first index is its drop position, which in this case was 361. The second index is how bouncy the ball is. Now remember, we're setting a range down here. Just in case it's not clear, this is the range of possible bounciness values. So that's saying that every ball that we drop will have a distinct bounciness between 0.5 and 0.55. In this case, that randomly determined bounciness was 0.5479, and so on. Next up is the ball size, which was 16, and then we have the bucket that the ball fell into, which is number 4. And of course, we can see over here that, in fact, the ball did fall into bucket number 4. If I now click around a whole bunch more, we'll see some additional console logs, which with each of those additional ball drops. And now we can really see the structure of this data set start to form. So I've got the outer array. Inside there are all of the different ball drops that we've now conducted. So we now very clearly have a pretty solid data set to work with here. Let's take a quick pause here again. And when we come back to the next section, we're going to move on to our next step, which is to decide the type of output that we are predicting. Is this a classification problem or a regression problem? So quick pause, and I'll see you in just a minute.